It is an honor today to have Lyn Askin on the podcast. Lyn is a certified EOS implementer and a certified exit planner. As a lifelong entrepreneur, he spent over 2 decades running a digital marketing agency where he helps small business owners grow their businesses online. Today, he helps business owners get the business they really want so they can run the business instead of the business running them. He's also the head coach and success strategist for Seven Figure Agency. Lyn, I'm so glad you're here. Thanks for being on the show.
I'm so happy to be here. I met you. I believe I met you in Cancun at a conference, and we just happened to be sitting next to each other, and we happened to be at the very same conference the very next week, and so sort of serendipitous that our paths crossed, and I'm really glad that they did.
As am I. I'll tell you, I've already learned a ton from you, and every conversation only adds to that. And I can't wait to see where this conversation is going to go today.
I appreciate that.
Welcome to Catalytic Leadership, the podcast designed to help leaders intentionally grow and thrive. Here is your host, author and leadership and executive coach, Dr. William Attaway.
I would love to start with you sharing a little bit of your story with our listeners, particularly around your journey and your development as a leader.
Yeah, happy to tell that story. William, I've been an entrepreneur my whole life. I grew up in a home with a lot of love, not a lot of money. And I think that made me entrepreneurial. I think the desire for a teenage kid to have the same things that the other kids had, or if I wanted a pair of Levi's, I had to purchase them on my own. If I wanted a pair of Nikes, I had to have my own money for those things, and so I guess I've always been entrepreneurial. I think even as young as 8 or 9 years old, I had a paper route. In my teens, I had a mobile disc jockey company. In my 20s, I started building computers. In 1995 or 96, I built one of the first online auctions. I built my first e-commerce store in 97, I think sounds right. And then from that point, I just started helping other, sort of business owners navigate what was fairly new, internet back then, the world of websites and internet marketing. Over the next, 20 or 26 years, I guess I grew a fairly successful digital marketing agency that had, some of the same challenges that everybody else had. Probably a lack of clear vision about who we were and who we served. We had maybe a lackluster team commitment, probably because of a lack of clear vision and leadership from the top, and probably a lack of discipline and accountability all the way to the top. And despite all of that, still had a pretty successful business. But in 2020, it was October, I got the wake up call of all wake up calls, and suffered a massive bilateral pulmonary embolism. And William, as I was laying there in my yard dying, all I could think about was, what kind of mess did I just leave my wife and son?
Oh my goodness!
Gosh, my wife was going to have to go to my office. She was going to have to fire all the team, lose all of the clients, and lock the door behind me. And that would have been the legacy that I left for my family, because, quite frankly, if I'd have died that day, my business would have died with me. I didn't have a business. I had a job, and not a very good boss at that job. And so I thank God I survived. I'm here to fight another day, and I'm still working out, why that is, and I'm still trying to figure out my purpose here in life. But what I knew at that moment was that I had to change the way that I operated my business and the way that I operated my life. And my first instinct was that, man, I need to sell this business. It's killing me in every sort of way. But not sure if you know this or not, William, but you can't sell a job.
Not easily.
And so I went on a mission to build something, to build some structure into my business that it didn't rely 100% on me, and that it didn't have to touch every piece of it, and that if I did happen to die and something bad happened, that I would leave something for my wife and my family that was sellable and scalable and that was sort of ran without me. And so at that moment, I guess I found EOS, found the Entrepreneurial Operating System. I had read the book Traction. I bought it in 2014 and sort of read it and put it on the, you got a bunch of books, I got a bunch of books, read them, and it goes on the shelf with all the rest. And I thought, boy, that's nice. I sure wish I could do it someday. But obviously my scare made it real, and it made it time for me to implement an operating system within our business that would help me grow and scale. And over the next year or so, we hired a professional EOS implementer, and he came into our business. And over the next year, we 3x'd our revenue, 7x'd our profits. We grew from 10 employees to
Wow.
27. And I was, probably most important of all, able to take myself out of the day-to-day operations and sort of fell in love with that whole process, fell in love with EOS, drank all of the orange Kool-Aid, became a professional EOS implementer, because I wanted to help people get that same, sort of success and realization of a business that we've sort of dreamed of from the beginning. We all start our businesses thinking, oh, great, I'm going to start a business. I'm going to have all this free time and money and
Yep.
no stress, and I'll have my weekends off. And man, it is just not like that at all for most people. And so that's what because I was able to achieve that, I just wanted to help others do that, ultimately leading to a successful exit and the sale of my agency. So I
Hmm.
guess that's probably a little longer than you were hoping for, but that's my story. And I think that's why I'm so passionate about helping other people, sort of build the business of their dreams.
I love that, and it's not too long at all. The thing I love about it is that it really illustrates that there is no such thing as a wasted experience. I believe that every experience in our lives is either for our benefit or for the benefit of other people. And what you have done is you have taken a pretty horrific experience. I mean, that's not something anybody would choose to go through. And you have taken it and said, okay, instead of just being a victim and instead of just saying, oh, poor, pitiful me, woe is me, you're like, okay, what am I going to do? How do I get to the solution side of this? And not just for you, but now being a conduit of what you've learned and saying, how can I help other people experience this freedom? I love that generosity of spirit, man.
Yeah, thanks. I think that's really important to understand, is that that journey is probably the best thing that ever happened to me. It
Mm,
was awoken to the realities of my life, and the, I don't know, just quite frankly, the brevity of it.
yeah.
And I always sort of thought that, oh heck, I never had a bunch of money in savings, and I knew I'd never be able to retire, but I liked what I did, and I figured I'd probably just work until I died. I just didn't realize that could be in October of 2020.
Wow. You described something a minute ago. You said I didn't have a business, I had a job. I think a whole lot of entrepreneurs would resonate with that if they were honest with themselves. It's not what they intended to create. They intended to go start something different than what they left. And yet, that's what they have. Do you see that a lot?
Oh my gosh, yes. If your business cannot run without you, you don't have a business. I mean, if your business 100% relies on you for the day-to-day operations, one, it's of no value. There's certainly no exit value, and that's nothing that you can sell.
Yeah,
Because if you're gone, now the best salesman just left, the
that's right.
CEO left, everybody left, because you're
That's right.
not staying with the company. And so there's power in building a business that can live without you, and you can sit in your
Mm,
visionary spot and do visionary things,
mm,
while you build operations to manage the day-to-day operations of your business.
mm. That's so true. I love the book Traction and Rocket Fuel and so many others in this whole line of thinking. But not everybody listening is familiar with EOS. Can you explain a little bit about what that is and why it matters so much in what you're describing as this type of goal of freedom?
Sure. So EOS, it stands for the Entrepreneurial Operating System, and what it is is a simple set of practical, real world tools that have been around for 100 years, going to be around 1,000 more, that will help you get more of what you want from your business. And in EOS, we really focus on helping you with three things: vision, traction, and healthy. And by vision, what I mean is I want to help you and your leadership team get 100% on the same page with where we're going and how we're going to get there. By traction, I want to help you instill discipline and accountability so that no matter where you look in your company, you see people executing on that vision. And by healthy, I mean, I want to make you guys a more cohesive, fun loving, functional team that likes to work together. Because let's be honest, sometimes we're not. And so
That's true.
we find that entrepreneurs, we're all kind of built the same. We're kind of made of the same metal here. And I think we're used to dealing with about 136 simultaneous issues. And we find that to the extent that we can strengthen just 6 key components of your business, those 136 simultaneous issues tend to just fall into place because they're really just symptoms of a real root cause. And so we work really hard to help you strengthen sort of 6 key components of your business. That would be the vision component, where are we going? How are we going to get there? The people component, that's pretty simple. You can't achieve a great vision without great people. The data component is about running your business on real facts and figures and numbers and not the sort of subjective emotions that often drive entrepreneurial decision making. And then when your vision component's clear, your people component's clear, and your data component's clear, well, your business becomes a little more transparent. And then all of those obstacles and challenges and those things just start to shake out. And so then we move to the issues component. We make you really good at solving those issues as they arise, digging down deep into them and make sure that we're solving them at the root so they go away forever. Then we move over to the process component. This is really about taking your handful of core processes and make sure that anybody that touches one of those does it the right way and the best way every time. And then we move to the traction component. And this is about bringing our vision down to the ground and actually executing on it with discipline and accountability. In our model, it's a circle and the vision's at the top and traction's at the bottom. It's no coincidence, because if you can't bring your vision down to the ground and execute on it with discipline and accountability, we say vision without traction is hallucination.
That's so good.
So those are the 6 key components of EOS, and we work to help you strengthen each of those in your business to about 80% or better, helping you better, have a better business, build a better business, make more money, and quite frankly, live a better life.
So many pieces of this system that I just love and resonate with. One of the things that I often talk with leaders about is the importance of database decision making. Because when I make decisions out of emotion, most often I regret those decisions later. Those are not usually my best and most shining moments. Do you get pushback on that? This idea of really diving into the data and leveraging it for decisions? You ever get people say, well, what about my gut? I just have a gut feel.
Yeah, I think most of the pushback we get from the data component is that it is a way to hold people accountable. So when we create, our scorecard or our metrics, we're sort of like, we're looking at our sales department and we say, hey, what metrics do we have to track to know? Are we having a good week in sales or a bad week in sales? What metrics are we going to track in our marketing department to say, hey, are we having a good week in marketing or a bad week in marketing? And we do get some pushback to that on occasion. But the truth is, accountable people love systems that'll help them become better. And so we find that if you've got the right people in the right seats and they get it and they want it and they have capacity to do the job, accountable people love scorecarding and metrics.
And that goes to the second one, right? People, the right people in the right seats, like Jim Collins would say. Is that something that you walk into and sometimes realize, oh my goodness, we don't have the right people here in the right seats?
Yeah, I think that's a realization that a lot of our leadership teams face. I think one of the first things we do there, because you do have to have the right people in the right seats, so that you're right, that does come from Jim Collins. I'll try and quantify it just a little bit better and make it a little more clear for the people that are listening, is that we look at that as 2 separate things. We have right people. These are people that fit our core values. These are people we like to be around. These are people that we love to have in the office. And then we have right seats. These are people who are good at their jobs. These are people with God-given talent and skills and ambition and desire. And when we can combine those things, you can create a really powerful team. Now, you could have some issues there. You could have a right person, but not in the right seat. They could be somebody that you really love, but they're just not in the right role. And maybe if we're lucky, we got some other roles that we can move them in so they can be more consistently excellent in their job.
Yeah.
Sometimes we have a wrong person in the right seat. This is that sales guy that you know about. That's just kind of he rubs everybody the wrong way just a little bit, but he's hitting his numbers, but he's chipping away at you in ways that you can't even see. He's eating away at your culture day after day after day, and that's a huge problem. We got to make sure that we probably got to make a change there. And so right people, right seats is really important. And there's a huge bunch of culture and leadership inside of EOS that, we got to help you build a great team.
When I first read Rocket Fuel and learned the terminology around visionaries and integrators, it was one of those moments where I was like, how has nobody ever taught me this? Like, this is so brilliant. It's so clear. Once you see it, you can never unsee it. When you walk into an organization, a business, do you see that type of light bulb go off when you talk about this?
Yeah, when we map out your accountability chart, and we start to we build the structure of what your company needs to look like, 6 to 12 months down the road, and then we map out all the roles and responsibilities of each one of those seats, and then we put the visionary integrator spots on there, and we map those out, and then we start putting people's names in the boxes, and your visionary sitting in 4 or 5 seats, and I think what's really powerful about that is seeing when we map that out, you actually see the pain that you feel on a regular basis. And so you get to visualize, oh my gosh, I'm not just the visionary here, or the CEO or whatever you want to call it. Gosh, I'm also the head sales guy, and I'm also running the marketing department, and I'm also down in operations every now and then. And of course, I'm running finance and HR because I'm the one doing the hiring. And you don't get to see that pain until it's like it's really, really clear in front of you. And when we do that, now you can go, okay, now I see why I'm stressed. Now I see why I don't have enough time in the day. What are we going to do about that? And so then we start to go, okay, which of these seats are you willing to give up? Which can we hire? Which can we train? Which can we get somebody to step into and really relinquish control and let somebody do the job? Open up that seat, give them the skills and the training they need, and then let them work. So yeah, I think it's really powerful to kind of see and feel that. And we do that with the accountability chart.
Do you ever see reticence on the part of the founder or the visionary to let go?
Oh gosh, yes. That is really difficult. One, you've got to make sure that you've got somebody that you can let go too. We certainly will have to make sure that you have the right person in the right seat, and that they get it and they want it and they have capacity. Because if you don't, well, then you certainly can't delegate to them. You got to handle that people problem first. But one of the things we like to say in EOS, and it's kind of funny, is, man, if they can't swim, don't throw them a rock. So,
that's good.
You got to make sure that you got the people problem solved first, and then you can train and delegate. And a lot of times, people ask me, William, they're like, "Hey, Lyn, how do I hold my people accountable?" I'm like, well, you can't unless you have clear expectations and you've built all of those things out. And so we think of accountability in EOS, we call it leadership management accountability. But that's a math formula. That is not an acronym. It is leadership plus management equals accountability. And so when you're not getting accountability from your team, we're going to make you look in the mirror, and we're going to make you a better leader and a better manager, because that is a byproduct of leadership and management.
And that's not always the easiest thing to see when you look in the mirror, because sometimes something's lacking.
Well, there was I think it's August Turk, and he basically was a contemporary of Einstein. Kurt Gödel. Kurt Gödel, contemporary of Einstein. He was a mathematician, philosopher. He said that he sort of proved scientifically that you cannot be a part of a system and at the same time understand that system. Now, I say that a little more country. I like to say that you can't see the picture when you're standing in the frame.
That's the way I say it too.
Right. But that's where, that's where having a professional outside third party voice, EOS professional come in and can help you, I'll see things that you can't see because you are standing in the frame.
That's so good. I've watched so many people who could benefit from what you do and have watched them flounder. And I imagine you have too. Like what is the first step toward engaging an implementer? Is there a minimum size for the company? Is there a minimum size for the team? What does that look like?
Well, we certainly in EOS, we have a target market, and we believe that EOS works best for, companies of 10 or more employees, somewhere between 10 and 250. But in addition to that, their owners and leaders have to be open-minded. They have to be willing to grow. They have to be willing to be honest with those around them. And they have to be more afraid of the status quo than they are of real growth and change, because this is a fundamental change in the way you do your business. And so from a size perspective, you can certainly implement EOS you could self-implement. You could buy the book Traction. You could do all of the materials, and everything's free online, and you can certainly self-implement. Obviously, to work with a professional implementer, there's obviously a fee involved, and there's a certain revenue that would have to make sense. And I don't know what that number is for you, because I don't know what your potential available cash is for that. But you can certainly self-implement. But if you were interested in implementing with a professional implementer, which I highly encourage, there are about 800 of us in the world, and we're all really good at this. We really pour a lot of ourselves into mastery of this system. No one implementer is better than the other. I want you to get the right implementer for you. If that's me, fantastic. If it's not, I would introduce you to somebody else that I think would be a great fit for you. But the engagement starts with what we call a 90-minute meeting. That 90-minute meeting is free. There's no charge for that. We get together on a call, me, you, your leadership team, and I learn about you, and you learn about me. And then I show you up, and I open up the fire hose, and I show you all the EOS tools. I show you the 6 key components and the 2 tools or disciplines we use in each one of those to help you get more of what you want from your business. At the end of that, we have a little discussion. Then I show you what it would look like, and I show you our proven process on basically the process on what we walk through every one of our clients with, and how we actually help you implement this system. At that point, you decide, is this, well, one, am I right for you, or is EOS right for you? Is this the right time? Are we ready to make this commitment? And then, of course, is the implementer that I'm meeting with right now the right fit for us? Because happy to introduce you to someone that would be a good fit if I'm not, and so on and so forth. But starts with a 90-minute meeting. If you like what happens in that meeting and you want to move forward, we schedule a full session day together. It's an 8-hour day. We call it focus day. And we get together and we start building out your accountability chart, your first set of rocks, first scorecard, and we teach you the level 10 meeting pulse. Again, if you love what happens there, then we schedule your next 2 sessions out. Every day is a full session day. It's a full 8 hours with me and your leadership team. And we build out this system.
What's your favorite part of what you do, Lyn?
I love seeing a little bit of healthy skepticism in the beginning. I love seeing some of those team members going, man, I don't know if we need this. And then just even in that first day at the end, when everybody really buys in and realizes that, one, I love them and I care about them, and that I'm really there to help them, really get a hold of their business. And to see that happen over and over and over again, and the impact that we're actually having on clients, is absolutely my favorite thing. This is the best thing I've ever done.
You serve with such heart. It just bleeds through in everything that you're saying. And I know the listeners are picking up on this.
Thanks. I appreciate that. I love what I do. I do what I love with people that I love. I'm having a major impact on their lives and on their businesses. I'm being appropriately compensated, and I have time for their interests. So I'm really, truly living the EOS life.
That's so awesome. So you have dealt with leadership in a lot of different contexts in your life. And as you have grown, as you have developed, you're a different leader today than you were 5 years ago, to be sure. And 5 years from now, your business is going to need you to lead at a higher level still. How do you stay on top of your game? How do you level up with the skills, the new leadership skills that your team and your business and your clients are going to need you to have?
Um, I think the first thing that comes to mind there, William, is to be humbly confident. And I
Hmm.
think that's one of our core values in EOS. And I'm really, really confident in my ability to help you, but I'm humble enough to know that I don't know everything. And I believe that life is a never-ending journey of self-improvement. And so I read, if I were to zoom out, I've got a shelf kind of like you behind me. I've read every one of those books, and I love knowledge. I love taking additional courses. I've really poured myself into EOS mastery, taken some advanced facilitation courses,
Hmm.
conflict management courses, recently become a certified exit planner because I really want uh, my clients to be able to quantify the results of what we do. Um, so I just keep leveling up through conferences, through books, through paid sessions. I never stop learning.
And I think that posture, that mindset is why you are the success that you are. The most successful people that I talk to never stop learning. And as you have continued to learn and grow and develop, I'm curious, is there a book among all that you've read? Is there a book that stands out? One that's made a big difference in your journey so far that you would recommend?
Wow, there are a lot. But as you ask that question, the one that really jumps out at me is the alter ego effect. It's Todd Herman. And what's interesting about that book is I think I've spent a lot of my life with imposter syndrome. You
Hmm.
know, I believe that I'm a pretty smart guy and I know a lot of things, but I guess there was always this feeling in the back of my mind that I didn't know enough and that I wasn't good enough and that I didn't. Man, someday that my clients are going to find out that I'm not that good at this or whatever it is, right? And I think that was just something I carried with me forever. And I had that when I was a simple blackjack dealer in Las Vegas, and I had it when I ran a $1 million plus agency, um, because I just never felt like I was good enough. Um, I don't have that feeling in EOS, but the the book is really about realizing that you can create sort of an alter ego, and you got to figure out, like, you and I speak on a lot of stages, and I think the nerves that we get right before we step up there are real.
Mhm.
But I also have to switch into the Lyn that's confident and strong and who can jump
Right.
up on that stage and do this thing. And that doesn't have to be me. That can be this alter ego I've created. And I sort of switch to that person when I get up there and I'm like, okay, I gotta be stage Lyn today. And I go and do that. And then I get off and I can just be me again. And I can feel like, I don't know, it's a really interesting concept. You think about a major league batter. If you're up there and you're facing, I don't know, Randy Johnson, and he's throwing 100-mile heaters at your head, like, if you're not in peak mental state right then when you're up there to bat, you're gonna
Yeah.
fail. And
Yeah.
so I think there's a way to, I don't know, I think we all sort of ego shift a little bit. Like, you come home from the office, you pull into the garage, you're like, man, I've got to be a great dad and a great husband now, and I got to
Mhm.
shift to that guy. I can't
Yeah.
be that same leader that I was in my office. I got to be a different leader at home. And you can be intentional about what that means. And you can be intentional
Mhm.
about what does it mean to be dad Lyn, and what does it mean to be stage Lyn? What does it mean to be EOS implementer Lyn? And you can
Mhm.
map that out. And I've done that quite a bit. And that book was really powerful for me because it gave me permission to not be everything to everyone all the time.
Hmm. That's powerful. One of the things I said earlier is that you are the head coach and success strategist for Seven Figure Agency. So I want to ask you this. What does success look like for Lyn?
Ooh, wow. Now we're digging in here. William, I struggle with this. Obviously, I want to be able to take care of my family, but I'll tell you what success has looked like for me over the last 22 years.
Hmm.
My son turned 22 this week, and so I've been a good dad. Um, Even running a business that I felt like I worked in 16 hours a day, 7 days a week. Never missed a spelling bee, never missed a karate class, never missed a piano recital, never missed a birthday, never missed an event of any kind, shape, or form. And when my son was 8 or 9 and he's winning the district math Olympics and he looks out into the crowd of a sea of moms, he saw me, and I was there every single time. And so success to me, William, is if my adult children want to hang out with me. That's success to me.
That's so good.
That's everything to me.
That's so good. And so inspiring as my kids begin to approach adulthood. I've got a 20-year-old and a 17-year-old. And that's inspiring for me as a dad, because what an amazing thing when they don't have to come home, when they don't have to spend time with you, and they still want to.
That's success for me and for my wife and my family. That's it. And so far so good. He's 22. He's got a great job. He still lives here with us, and he's saving money and stacking up the funds and doing really, really well. And we've been doing things like going to trivia nights and just hanging out, and we have a great time together.
I love that. Lyn, so often people walk away from an episode like this with one big takeaway, one big idea. If you could define what you want people to walk away from this conversation with, what would you like them to walk away with?
The business that you have today is not the business that you necessarily will have tomorrow. You can live a better life. You can build a better business. You can buy back some of your time. You can, there are systems and tools out there that will help you get a grip on your business. I think we talked about this before, but we all had this vision like, oh, I'm going to have this business and I'm going to have this free time and I'm going to have my weekends off and I'm not going to have this stress and I'm going to have this financial freedom. And I want you to know that if that's not you right now and you don't have those things, it is possible and it's doable. And it's really just simple, practical tools and a framework that you can put in place. I'd like to tell you that you can run your business on guesswork. You can run your business on hard work, or you can run your business on a framework. And EOS, there's plenty of frameworks out there, but I really, really believe in EOS, and I believe it's the answer to a lot of your prayers.
I just had to write that down. Guesswork, hard work, or a framework. I love the intentionality. Lyn, I could talk to you for another hour. There's so much here, so much wisdom, and I'm so grateful for your generosity in sharing so open-handedly from what you've learned so far. I know our listeners are going to want to stay connected to you and continue to learn more from you and about what you do. What is the best way for them to do that?
I am super easy to find. So I've got a really uncommon name. I think I'm probably the only Lyn Askin on the planet. So if you were to type Lyn Askin into your favorite search bar somewhere, you'll probably fall upon my LinkedIn, my Facebook, my Twitter, anything like that. You could go to lynaskin.com and send a message. And I'm sure we can put some links in the show notes and things like that if someone is interested in having a quick chat. But I'd love to connect with any of you. I'm a giver. My core values are one of them is help first, and so I certainly want to help you in any way that I can. And so, yeah, I think that's lynaskin.com or find me on the socials. It's pretty easy.
Lyn, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Thanks for joining me for this episode today. As we wrap up, I'd love for you to do two things. First, subscribe to this podcast so you don't miss an episode. And if you find value here, I'd love it if you would rate it and review it. That really does make a difference in helping other people to discover this podcast. Second, if you don't have a copy of my newest book, Catalytic Leadership, I'd love to put a copy in your hands. If you go to catalyticleadershipbook.com, you can get a copy for free. Just pay the shipping so I can get it to you, and we'll get one right out. My goal is to put this into the hands of as many leaders as possible. This book captures principles that I've learned in 20 plus years of coaching leaders in the entrepreneurial space, in business, government, nonprofits, education, and the local church. You can also connect with me on LinkedIn to keep up with what I'm currently learning and thinking about. And if you're ready to take a next step with a coach to help you intentionally grow and thrive as a leader, I'd be honored to help you. Just go to catalyticleadership.net
to book a call with me. Stay tuned for our next episode next week. Until then, as always, leaders, choose to be catalytic.
Thanks for listening to Catalytic Leadership with Dr. William Attaway. Be sure to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts so you don't miss the next episode. Want more? Go to catalyticleadership.net.